the very last time. I don't have a song prepared for the very last time. I mean, for now. Who knows? Maybe this thing reboots. Who knows? This is That Helps No One FantasyCast on the Area 51 Sports Network. I am joined so far by the Yeti himself, Matt. He's flossing over there or something.
Did you call him a Yeti or Eddie?
Yeti.
Oh, Yeti. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or Eddie. Whatever floats your boat. Yeah. And my man Steve eating some pizza. We got Ted, and we got the OG. We got the OG jokester coming, as far as I know, Chris Phillips. It's probably going to get pretty rude within the next 5 minutes, so keep it clean for now. Anyway, if you guys would like to join the chat for the final show, as always, you can, go on the YouTube, go on the Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube and Twitter and Area 51, all that kind of stuff. We can make that happen for you. If you got some fantasy questions, we'll answer those fantasy questions. If you don't have any fantasy questions, then well, that's okay too. How is the fantasy footballs going for you guys so far?
Oh my gosh! Before we talk about fantasy football, I have to out my wife right now for something hilarious.
Oh wow!
Related to. So, I don't even know what I would. Anyways, I come downstairs and she's watching Dancing with the Stars.
I watched that yesterday also, unfortunately.
And she goes, yeah, the guy from the Super Bowl, the one we saw with the catch, he's on there right now. And I was like, that's not him. And she's like, yeah, Edelman. I was like, nope, that's not Julian Edelman. That's Wes Welker. I was like, they're both white. They're both short. They both look the same, but that is so terrible, babe.
I was like, David Tyree hasn't been on the show forever, though.
Yeah, she was like, no, that's that Edelman guy. I'm like, no, they look, I guess, similar because they're the same height and they played the same role, but they're not the same person at all.
Like a gym rat? Is this like a
real gym rat?
Is this an episode of The League all over again?
So I was kind of like, oh my gosh, did she say like something racist inadvertently, or would she just fit in right on this show just by calling him a gym rat? So I
think, I'm not going to call her racist, but I mean, how hardcore is she for football?
Not.
Okay, so I would give her, maybe Ted can answer this question. I would give her the benefit of the doubt on this one, based on she recognized that it is a football player that was popular that played in the Super Bowl.
Come on. You watch the show. They're like, oh, this NFL superstar.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a secret what their profession is. So she was just like, she's not racist, but I was.
I just want to get that out, like, just so we're all aware.
First racist.
Yeah.
Did you see Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship shirts last week?
No.
They had like those like collage.
The white guy shirts.
Exciting whites.
Exciting whites. That's so good.
What it had blue collar.
Yeah, the exciting whites.
Student of the game. Sneaky athletic. Yeah, here. If you get
what's going on, Ted?
How are you guys?
I feel like did they sell that shirt?
I don't know. But the comments are also good. They're naming them either the cream team or lactose and tolerance.
Oh, damn.
That's a really great fantasy football team name.
It really is.
That's so good. That's so good. Ted, we were just talking about Dancing with the Stars as one would. Yeah, as one would. And Steve's wife had said that the guy that made the catch at the Super Bowl was on it. And Steve, you were saying she said Julian Edelman first?
Yeah, she basically got Edelman and Wes Welker mixed up. And I was like, babe, no.
So I was just going to say, like, would that mix-up happen in your house also?
Well, it's easy to make. All you white people look the same.
It's true. I mean, if Matt and I both had a beard, I'd probably say both of us are identical twins. Pretty close.
Yeah, that would probably happen in my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're just checking it out. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that'd probably happen. I think more
It's
likely
like-
to mix up Julian Edelman and Wes Welker.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't David Tyree, so I mean, at least we're not like a complete, Hail Mary throw to make that happen, right?
Yeah,
It's
not
Michael
to be mixed
Strahan.
up with Tyrese, the actor.
Ah, he was in Fast and Furious. Did I tell you guys about this? I think I told Ted about this. So my wife decided to watch the entire Fast and Furious series right from the get-go, from number 1. However, she skipped the third one, Tokyo Drift.
Nah, you can't skip that because those guys
That's
end
not
up in the
Fast and
later
Furious,
movies.
Pardon me, Matt?
3 Fast, 3 Furious, sir.
That's Three
that what
Faster,
that's called?
Three Furious, sir.
Sorry,
Yeah.
3 Faster, 3 Furious, sir.
Yeah. So she watched everyone but the third one. I'm like, but you have to watch that
You
one.
gotta
You can't
watch
just
that.
skip
That one's
them.
like actually important to the storyline now. Like
That's
they've
what
made
I
it
said.
important
That's what I said. So
because of the whole Han story arc.
thank
How
you.
many are we at now?
I think they're at
Like
10 or
17?
11. Do they count the Hobbs and Shaw one? Does that count?
Maybe, who knows?
Like an offshoot? That's like counting like Rogue One as part of the Star Wars. Like it's there, but it's not an official one. Or Han Solo. So anyway, just interesting. So yeah, kind of check in. I'm like, which one? She's like, yeah, I'm on 6 right now. Doesn't invite me. That's cool. We know where the marriage is going. You can clearly tell. Speaking of marriages that are probably breaking up, looks like the Jets and Aaron Rodgers are going to part ways after this season. They've already parted ways with, I think, the coach and the GM and likely the quarterback. What are we going to see in New York next season? Is Zach Wilson coming back?
Hopefully, we'll see less Jets coverage.
That's true, yeah.
This is getting nauseating after 3 years of them being a Super Bowl contender and sucking in most areas.
What about Mike White's season? Can we bring that back? Maybe he should be the leader of the exciting Whites.
He really could be.
I think if we could just see like a 3-way game between like the Rams, the Jets, and like the Texans, and they would all wear their color rush jerseys, we could just call it the hot dog game or something like that. It'd be good. You got mustard, ketchup, and relish.
I'm in.
If I see that, I would be okay with that.
XFL rules, everybody has to run to the center to get the ball.
So, as a red-green deficient colorblind guy, the color rush jerseys of green and red are a nightmare for me to watch. The first time I watched it was Bills and Jets, and I truly had no idea which team had possession throughout the entire game because they kept mixing up the offensive and defensive linemen because they looked like the same color and they swap. So that game can go to hell.
Oh man,
With that one.
these are things I never expected to happen. That is so seriously though. What's going to happen with the Jets next season? Like, are they going to go after Mr. Sanders? What are they going to do? Should or not, Dion?
Well, just like how long before Dion's a coach in the NFL is probably the better question. But I don't know. I think if Dion's the kind of guy that's going to make it so like, okay, for example, it's very possible that Cleveland could pick first in this year's NFL draft because they're that bad.
Mhm.
If they get the first overall pick, it can't be Sanders. He's not going to allow his son to become a Cleveland Brown, right? So would he go to a team like the Jets to coach there anyways? Like, I don't know. I think he's got standards.
Well, Cowboys. It sounds like the big push is that the Cowboy, like they're making this a thing. It's
The better
basically-
question is if he coaches, is he going to coach offense and defense?
Just
Oh.
special teams, actually.
Oh.
Um,
They're
yeah,
running back.
there's a couple hugely expensive organizations who need to clear out their whole front office. It feels like, and their coaching staff if they haven't already done it in the Jets, in the Cowboys,
Mhm.
like and the Giants, like the 3 biggest market teams are absolute dumpster fire, and I think they've done enough moving around of players, star players, and have done a few coaching changes along the way where they need to maybe start looking at asking Mr. Jerry Jones to step out of the picture a little bit and put some blinds on the window so his star receiver can see the ball coming to him. And the Jets could actually put a team together that isn't just 6 all-stars and crap for the rest. I don't know.
Yeah, good luck happening in the Cowboys. Like it's Jerry's team till he dies, probably. Like he wouldn't allow that to happen. He needs to have his fingerprints all the time on the Cowboys.
Yep.
The blinds is a good idea, though. That's actually
they won't win until he's out of the picture.
Yeah, that's probably true. What do you think, Ted?
I mean, it's tough to disagree with anything that Matt just said there. I don't know. Like even just watching the Tyson fight with Paul last week, it was like Jones had a lot of screen time on there. I don't know if any of you guys watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a huge interview. He was on there talking for what seemed like 20 minutes, and he just looks like, has he not aged like 5 years in the last year? Like, or is that just me? Because he looks like he's really getting on there. I mean, at some point he's going to have to start relinquishing his duties at some point. I don't know. I feel like Al Davis had a lot more flex all the way up until the very end, but does he have a succession plan for what's going to happen there? I don't know. One of the all-time great meddlers for a GM that the NFL has ever seen. So it's worked for him in the past, and I think he probably hangs on to that. So I don't think he lets go anytime soon, but maybe a guy like Sanders is the perfect medicine. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Al Davis handed over to Ray Davis, did he not? But that's in Buffalo.
It's a great haircut, though.
It is. It is pretty good. So anyway, the Jets. Steve, do you want to put in 2 cents on the Jets? Or are you good?
Well, I just don't know that we see any drastic changes or decision making until they figure out who their GM is, right? Like the identity of a team starts with the guy who's going to build the framework for the team. So you hire a GM, he hires a coach and a coaching staff that he feels confident in.
Yeah.
And they have a vision together for like, okay, are we going after a quarterback right away? Are we talented enough to, make this work with Rodgers? Like we don't really know that until Joe Douglas's replacement is named. Jerry Jones, it's always been a mess. It will always be a mess. Jerry Jones is going to be running that team until the day he dies. It's in his personality, right? That's why he shows up in shows where, he's running it and he's in control, and it's almost like a spoof on him being way too involved in everything that happens. Like, great business person, absolute genius business person. He does not have the credentials to get involved with an NFL team. That's why you're supposed to hire a GM who then, like there's a chain of command, and these teams that, always have the owner who gets their nose in it. And Ted knows this perfectly, being a Browns fan. It never works because it's like, that's not your forte. Like, you can watch a ton of football. We can watch a ton of football. It doesn't matter. That's not what I'm specialized in. So they're screwed. Both franchises are screwed right now. I think the Cowboys long term have a worse outlook because of the fact that Jerry Jones always has to have his fingerprint on everything. Right up, like Matt said, till the freaking blinds. Just put some blinds up there. Like, are you that proud to be like, yeah, you know what?
It's a sunny day in Dallas or in Arlington. Here we go.
A pretty good point that it's in his eyes. Like, both teams have to play with it. But do I really want my star receiver being upset and not wanting to play here because I'm too stubborn to put blinds up?
As something as trivial as that, like where are we? We're in 2024 and we're talking about putting blinds on Cowboy Stadium. Like,
practice.
Practice, exactly. Actually, we're talking.
His head is too big, right, for him to let go of that at this
ego.
point. It's almost like the George Steinbrenner thing for the Yankees for all these years. He transcends the team, right? He's in some ways he's bigger than the Cowboys are because he's no one outside of football in regular mainstream media. If Seinfeld was still on today, I'm sure Jerry Jones would be a regular on there on the back of his head, just as George Steinbrenner was. So I just don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, it's just too bad because he's sullied his entire legacy.
Yeah.
At least Steinbrenner's team still won late into his age, not third. What is it? 94 is the last Cowboys?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Right. That's a whole.
I mean, I feel like that's a little apples to oranges when you talk about baseball to football. Like, you have the soft cap and, teams can get into luxury tax, and you have a team that it has a payroll of $300 million more than the next team. Like, it's a little apples and oranges, but I get what you mean. Like, he's not helping the legacy of Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, right?
The media personality side of it is the same, if not more so. Well, I don't know. It's probably the same. I think if Jerry Jones was a baseball owner, it means his teams would be winning championships if it's about money influx, right? But that's not how the NFL is won.
I mean, he still had some pretty incredible teams though, and they still, you know, the curse of the Cowboys. Like, there were some really good Cowboys teams, and they just couldn't get over that hump. Whether it was, you know, they put it all together, they like whether it was Tony Romo or even Dak, like when they were kind of cooking, like they've had some, you know, they've had some good trios. Like when Zeke was absolutely feasting, they've had, you know, the Miles Austin.
What was it, 2 years ago when they were about to beat Brady and the Bucks, and Dak ran for too long and ran the clock right out? Like, you know, it's all these little things. That's the curse of the Cowboys. Or like the snap goes and like Romo bobbles the snap and then tries to run in for it. Like, it seems like this kind of stuff always happens to them.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are like America's team, the biggest moment, the brightest shining star. But when the lights are the brightest, pun intended, in Jerry's house,
Nice.
That was good. Way to go on that, by the way.
They fall apart, man. And it's awesome. If you're not a Cowboys fan, it's awesome to watch.
Oh, it's great. I mean, and you tune in though.
It's a circus.
Yeah, you tune in for the circus because the crazier it gets, like the more you want to watch.
Oh my God. Could you imagine, like, you know, I feel pretty confident in this, that like none of us are ever going to switch our football teams because that's just kind of how our personalities roll. But could you imagine being a Cowboys fan and tuning in and being like, what am I going to deal with this year? Like, there's never like okay, we're hoping for the best. It's like, what kind of crap is going to happen where it's going to like ruin my year? Not even just ruin my afternoon, but my year might be ruined by this.
I don't buzz my hair and get jean shorts, so I definitely couldn't be part of the starter pack. So
it's got to be even harder as a Cowboys fan because, like, if by some opportunity it does click, you know, where you could be a Browns fan and you're like, well, I know what the season's going to be like for so many years, right? Like, that's also devastating. At least the Cowboys, gift and curse, give you hope.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
But that curse is what happens 30 years in a row now, especially in November. Did you guys see that stat where every professional North American sports team that is currently playing has won a home game in November except for the Dallas Cowboys?
That's scary, man. That's
a real thing.
Yeah. Like, we're talking WNBA, NHL. I think they even put like CFL teams in that thing.
Oh my God. That is something else.
Yeah, it was wild.
The National Lacrosse League. Everybody's got a piece of it. A couple things. So we're going to get into this first. As we said at the beginning of this season, why I wasn't able to trust Malik Neighbors to be a fantasy like stud wire to wire is because Danny Dimes sucks. It is back to Tommy DeVito, back Mr. Italian's coming back to finish out the season in New York, which still isn't going to be. It'll 1 week he's going to have he'll have the hoopla, and then it'll all be over. But I mean, again, the New York Giants as well as the New York Jets, man, they just when things they think, not the rest of us, but when they think things are about to go well, it just seems to get worse. So like they go through just a ton of quarterbacks, a ton of good talent or on the other side, where they just draft all these players and they're going to end up wanting to leave. Like, how long are you going to see the Garrett Wilsons and the Breece Halls want to hang around in New York? Or if you're the Giants, like, how long is Malik Neighbors going to want to be there, or Tracy, or whoever, you know, their offensive studs are? Like, that's bad when you actually have teams where you would assume that things should be going well and they just keep fumbling it. So it's not just Dallas.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think the entire office of the Giants should be fired and replaced. Like, there is not one single good football mind in that organization. I don't think.
It's probably right.
They don't spend the time to develop their players. They don't support them when they need them. They're awful.
No, I mean, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate on that one, because like we're talking about the fact that Daniel Jones is their franchise, and we'll use that term quite loosely here, franchise quarterback. No, I don't think anyone in that front office right now was part of that Dave Gettleman front office who used, I think it was the 8th overall pick on Daniel Jones or whatever it was. It was a ridiculous high pick. But they're almost like locked into him, right? Like he's so young. He does have upside potential. They didn't really have a place to go. Like it would be one of the worst kind of situations to go to in football where you're like, okay, new regime, here we go. Yeah, we're stuck with this guy for at least 3 to 4 years. And then maybe he's showing glimpses and the front office is like, well, like we won't have to spend a pick on a quarterback. And you're like, yeah, but he sucks.
I just don't think Daniel Jones is the problem. I think he's not good. But I mean, other than Neighbors, who has he had in his offense in the last couple of years?
Saquon Barkley.
Who else? He hasn't had a receiver. Wandale
Robinson. The Saquon one's a bit debatable because he was never around long enough to have a great impact on the team wire to wire.
He's got a trash O-line. He gets sacked more than
the O-line has been perennially bad. Like there's definitely issues. There's been talent. I just think that they put it in the wrong places to support these players for a long period of time.
But then that is a front office thing at that point.
It is. And I don't know if it's going to change. Like I'm just looking right now and the Mara family just came out and said that they want to keep Brian Dable and Joe Schoen there for yet another year or so. So like what happens past that if they're not willing to make changes when it comes to the offensive minds or the defensive minds of this football team? Like where does it go? It has to be a personnel change on the field. And like how do you make that wholesale other than free agency? We know that doesn't work for a bunch of reasons. I guess there's players there, but you're going to have to get a retread on a bunch of guys. And I don't know how you make a big impact on looks like one of the largest markets in the NFL.
Just fire everybody. Build a new stadium. Build 2.
Build. Yeah, I mean, in this case,
build another stadium. The Clippers did it. How hard could it be? How hard could it be? I got a question here. So you guys don't know what happened. Ted and I know what happened. So we had a blockbuster trade planned. Monday, it finalized itself before the end of Monday Night Football. We are both kind of tied in the standings approximately. Well, we're not anymore. Anyway, Ted had a bad week. I had a good week. Whether it means anything down the road, we're not sure. Anyway, massive trade that unfortunately didn't happen for both of our sakes. So I was going to be getting. Well, we can talk about the trade because it would have been public. So Mahomes, Mark Andrews, Bucky Irving, and was it Jalen Reed, right? Is it Jaden Reed or Jalen Reed?
Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed. And I was going to throw back, obviously, some players to get so Ted could actually field a roster, but basically, 1, 2, 3, and 4 picks. So this was going to be a trade. Now, I don't know when Ted saw it or not. We just assumed we had till the end of Monday. We did not. He's texting me while I'm curling.
It wouldn't have mattered anyways because we were both locked up to points where I couldn't even get to my phone. So
yeah. So anyway, so he's like, "Hey, the trade isn't going through. What the heck's going on?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" So I go look on my phone quickly. I'm like, "Oh, we missed the deadline." Anyway, it would have helped me out. Ted would have had some great draft picks. I would have tried to make a run. He would have had a great start. Didn't happen. So as the commissioner of this league was my next question. I'm like, well, it's not the end of Monday. Here's the question. Like, is this something? Now, this is a question I bring to the group and only because we can joke about it now. If I were to have pushed this trade through, how, and I said, this feels like a little shady, and Ted goes, too shady. So obviously that didn't happen. But had it gone through,
it was funny in a cheeky conversation.
Oh yeah, we were just laughing like, well, we're idiots. The next question, they said, how long have we been playing fantasy football? Ted goes, well, I'm pretty sure like our early Jersey City days, which is at least 15, 17 years now,
something like that.
Yeah.
2008 was my first fantasy league.
So there you go. So at that point, like, we're grown-ups. We've played this game long enough. We should know how the fantasy app works. So anyway, trade didn't go through. We wished each other good luck. Goodness, I guess we're gonna have to do it the hard way. So what would be your guys' take on that? And I'm gonna say Steve, because Steve's a little more critical on these things.
Oh, I mean, the reason why you guys didn't push it through is because you know that that's absolute garbage. Like,
What are you
if
talking about?
if you miss the deadline and you
Oh,
wait,
no. I thought you meant the trade, not the deadline push.
oh no, the trade's fine.
Yeah, the deadline push was not actually a real thing. That never would have happened.
No, we were just joking around.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you guys are
conscious
joking
of
around about it because if you were to like legitimately do that, you would have
A fire.
instantly 10
Yeah.
people like blowing your phone up, calling you, being like, "This is trash." Like, what
Yeah.
are you doing? Right? Funny
So-
though. Funny.
Yeah, we're just sitting there, and I came home. I'm like, well, wife was just about to go to bed. I'm like, so that big trade I was telling you about that you didn't care about, it didn't happen because neither Ted or I apparently know how to play fantasy football 20 years in. So
Now, was it as soon as the game started Sunday morning that the trade, like the deadline was done, or
Start of the last game, start of the last game Monday night.
see,
Okay.
I thought it would have been end of the night, and that
I
was
had to go into the fine print to find it in
Okay.
the trade settings. But yeah, it's unless you
start of the
otherwise set it, like you can set it to midnight or whatever. But the default
Oh,
setting
okay.
is start of the last game on the schedule.
okay.
Well, I'll out myself as well. Then, like you were saying, how long have we been playing and we didn't know the rules? Like, you know how many trades I was trying to make. Ted and I
Mhm.
tried to make a trade there,
Right.
and I was messaging people like insanely, trade after trade after trade after message Saturday night. I'm like, guys, we got to get this done. We don't have that many more hours, because I thought as soon as week 11 started, because
Then it's done.
then it's done. So like,
that's why you were so fast and furious, sir.
well, yeah, I was like, I can't go into this. Like, you want it? Nope. Good. I'll move on to the next one. Like, oh my gosh, I must have sent out 50 trades that day. It's like, trade this. Someone rejected it. I'd put something else in them. Like, I need to do this. I need to get it going.
That's like, it's, I mean, again, you think about it, none of us bothered to think about like, hey, when is the actual, like the hard deadline? Like I text them, I said, how long have we been doing this for? Like, I'm driving home and I'm thinking like, we're in our 40s. We've been playing this since like our late 20s. I'm like, you really think we would know this by now? Like when the trade deadline ends? No, apparently not. So kind of funny. It's a what if.
I've never had a trade go through that, or not go through, that I really wanted to go through and had like such a good laugh about it over a period of like 20 minutes trying to figure out what the scoop was. It was hilarious. It was so much fun.
Like you're beside yourself, right? And you're like, well, I'm an idiot. So because I sent out the trade, I'm like, all right, just I sent it out at like 5:00 or something, or 5:30. I'm like, all right, I'll get her going. Just got to the rink, send you the trade. Just waiting it out, and you're like, hey, so let's do this. I'm like, yeah, let's go, rock and roll, let's go. And he's like, yeah, it's not there anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? So anyway, that's what happens when you've got idiots running this place. So do you guys want to do remember the name? Do you got does everybody have one? I think I've still got an overlay here. No, remember the name, remember the name. I don't have the clip anymore, so that's as good as I can do.
Nailed it.
So who actually prepared for this part of the segment? Anybody?
Definitely not me, but we always got players, I'm sure.
Okay, so if you've got one, Steve, are you like lined up? You're feeling good?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm always prepared for this, as you know.
Sure.
As I
Absolutely.
say. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was thinking about what Matt was talking about, his first kind of fantasy football years, and the ones that I can remember are kind of like 2010, 2011, 2012 range.
Mhm.
And I always thought about the defensive players who ruined my week, whether it was like sacking someone or like shut down corner. And one of the first names I thought of was got into a fight with Andre Johnson, way overmatched. Remember that name?
Oh, you're killing me. I'm seeing it right now.
Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Titan. That's why I'm looking at Ryan, because that's his team apparently.
Oh yeah. Wait, Cortland Finnegan.
Cortland Finnegan.
Cortland Finnegan.
Am I right? Yes.
He was like the ultimate irritating player. He was that kind of like man corner lockdown. You probably just hated playing against him, and he clearly pissed Andre Johnson off one too many times, and they just
And that was a good rivalry, those two. Every time you're like, you wanted to watch that game, like something's gonna explode again today.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. Cortland,
wicked pick. That's good.
He was
I
such
like
a fun wide receiver in like the era of prima donna receivers. He was just this low maintenance guy who just went out and did his job. Like he was like the Frank Gore version of wide receivers, when there was just all these guys that were just all about headlines, and he was just, I don't know, he was so simple and not flashy and so damn good for such a long time that you just couldn't help but like respect the guy. So man,
who's that you're talking about?
Andre Johnson.
Andre Johnson.
You're talking about Andre. Okay. I thought you were talking about my pick, and I was like, Finnegan's on the other side of the ball. Right?
Just let him run with it.
Portland, everything I just said about Finnegan would be the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Was all about the limelight, all about the motor in the mouth.
Yeah.
But that's just those two, the night and day of those two players is like the perfect thing for them to clash like game over game.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Ted, do you have one? You ready?
Yeah, sure.
I love, like, we prepared weeks in advance for this specific
weeks
episode.
like 30 or 40 seconds ago. I kind of this one. I was actually thinking back again to like formative football years, and obviously playing fantasy football, we were so stoked about offense, but I remember like the first time I really started paying attention to the defensive side of the ball, but not only like what was happening with my team, but other players in the league were starting to catch my eye. And there was this sneaky athletic guy, a big man that like my team constantly had to play against, and was just constantly embarrassed by this dude just getting to the quarterback game after game after game. And that guy was Haloti Ngata. Just a freaky athlete, like all the way back to seeing footage of this kid playing rugby as like a 12-year-old looking like a 20-year-old on the field at like 220 pounds or something, juking guys. Like, I mean, he made it as a big defensive lineman, but you feel like this guy really could have done anything in a big man spot that he wanted to do. And he did it for such a long time too. So, I mean, he was definitely one of those guys on a rival that you just had nothing but respect for him. We're just like, it's kind of in awe watching him just decimate your offensive line game after game, and watching him just stuff the run and do things, get laterally like nobody could do. But yeah, that was a heck of a player.
The wild thing about him is he could play any position along the front, but if you asked him to like drop back into coverage as like a defensive lineman, you could probably ask him to do that, right? Like, and he was the exact opposite of Cortland Finnegan. Like you would never hear him running his mouth to anyone on the offense. It was just like, here, I'm doing my job. I'm silently killing you from all over the field. And those kind of players just have to be frustrating to play against, as a rival.
Great pick. Now, Steve, I know this is just perfect because you picked a Tennessee Titan. I also had a Tennessee Titan for my first pick. And I'm actually surprised that this guy didn't have a longer career.
Kenny Britt.
That would be a good pick. I've seen him play live too, and not that good. But he had like two basically full. That's good. I like that. Had two full seasons. His rookie year, just under 570 yards, couple touchdowns, and then just kind of tailed off, and then didn't even go anywhere else after this. I thought he was going to be a stud. I probably owned him in one of those seasons. Bishop Sankey.
Oh, jeez.
He was one of the names, right? Like, you wanted Bishop Sankey, and just kind of he's just, again, one of those guys that, like, I don't know, you get all the hype out of the draft, and you're like, you're prepping all your draft sheets, like, yeah, I'm going to get him somehow. And then for the people that did get him, like, all right.
What a mic drop pick that was. I was not expecting that name, and I wasn't really paying attention to what you were saying. And then Bishop Sankey.
You're like, yep. Chess move, man. Chess move. So
Bishop,
there's not a whole lot.
He might be on the all-time name team.
I think he'd be up there. Not a lot to talk about with him though, because the guy played 2 seasons, and he's like, geez, Glenn Coffey was probably more relevant than Bishop Sankey was.
Is that your next one?
No, it's not. I got a freebie in there. Yes. Yes.
Mine is born in Copenhagen, known as the Great Dane, played 25 seasons, left-footed kicker.
Honestly.
One-time Minnesota Viking. Morton Anderson.
Oh, the Mort report.
An exclusive Hall of Fame class for his time anyways. Played on like 7 different teams, which it's actually not crazy over 25 years. You think that's only a team every 4 or 5 years for a kicker who get traded around, like things that get traded around a lot.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I remember, and so the way I like think about a lot of these like older players is like basically when I started playing. Like I always liken them to video games. Like that's how I remember these guys, right? Like a lot of these guys that we never really watched play. Like we all know who Morton Anderson is, but like, did we actually see him play? And did we really remember it at an impactful age, right? So on the TV side of thing, no. But like I remember buying my first Madden game with Montana on the cover as a Kansas City Chief. And he wasn't even that good. He was like 77 overall in that game. And I remember cycling through, seeing this kicker that was ranked in the 80s or whatever. And I was like, oh, sweet, I'm going to go add that guy. And then seeing that the kicker was also like 45 years old, thinking to myself, like, that might be the oldest person I've ever seen in a video game, right? Like, and that was back then. And like, how many years past that did he even play? Like, when did he retire, Matt? I'm sure you have it up there.
2005.
Pardon me.
Like, just
25 years.
Like insane. So yeah, wild stuff. Like that is a career. Like how long did Vinatieri play? Like I feel like that's the longest kicker that I know of, right? And
he had to
really getting into the numbers. But you see Vinatieri like rocking the all white hair, right? Like still kicking field goals, and then you think about how old Morton Anderson was. I think he was the NFL's all-time leading scorer for like a number of years, right? So
24 years for Vinatieri.
Wow, there you go.
Wow. That's just as crazy.
It's almost as crazy.
Almost.
That's a fun one.
That is a good one. Good pick. Like, man, what a gem this guy is, hey? Just dropping. Steve, we're gonna do two. Yeah.
You decide how many.
For sure, we can do as many as we want.
Exactly.
Well, we got a time limit, but okay.
Okay, I'm thinking of go back to Denver. I've got a Denver Broncos draft.
Wes Welker
in the
fourth.
Oh, that's Julian Edelman.
Absolutely.
4th round pick.
Nice.
Went to 3 Pro Bowls with the Denver Broncos. Decided to get traded to the Baltimore Ravens and had 2 more Pro Bowl seasons. Ended his career. I should probably have this up in front of me.
Oh, I know who this is.
With a total, I thought Ted would figure this out. With a total of 105.5 sacks. Also on the all-name team, in my opinion.
Oh.
Ted,
Matt.
do you want to give him a shot?
No, I don't know this. I was thinking of another Denver Bronco who was then traded to the Baltimore Ravens, but played on the offensive side of the football. So not the same guy.
No.
Cortland Finnegan. Am I close?
I might need more hits for this. Oh,
Elvis Dumerville.
Ooh.
Also a really fun player,
Yeah.
Really fun player. Was kind of like one of those not for I hate to use the word first because there's been decades and decades of football before this, but he was one of the first times where I really noticed these tweener linebacker edge rushers where most of his game was predicated on speed and bend, right? Like he was so fun to watch because he wasn't the biggest dude, but he always got to the quarterback and you're like, how are you doing this? And he kind of, in my opinion, paved the way for a lot of these, undersized linebackers who could also play defensive end in a 4-3 as opposed to a linebacker in a 3-4.
Yeah, he was like one of those guys. Like he was like the age of small linebackers. Like we were talking about last week. I don't know if it was live when we were talking about like the Zach Thomas type players, right?
Mm.
But then there was this whole crew of basically if you weren't a 250 linebacker and at least 6 feet tall, like you probably weren't starting in the NFL. There was a period of time when that was how it was.
Yeah.
But Elvis was like that guy who took being a 250 linebacker that could rush the quarterback and they just like stuck him on the line. And that's where he just played. And then he did it so well, and he was such a handful because he was like a bowling ball.
Yeah.
And he was quick and he had that motor, and he didn't have like the height and the girth for guys to just like get a hold of. He wasn't a 275 pound, 280 pound end. It was difficult for guys to match that speed, and he just annihilated people. Like it was just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun
Good
guy.
pick.
Good mushroom.
Round the horn. Keep it going, Ted. You're spewing knowledge. So spew your next player.
Okay. I'm gonna go. This is a late '90s to late, like till around 2008. We're gonna go RB, often known as Thunder. He was a rare big sized running back that just constantly ran people over. He was all about finding contact instead of getting long runs. And I don't even really want to say the team that he played for, because I think that would sort of just give the whole thing away. But the coolest thing about this guy was that he was part of like a tandem his whole career with a smaller, speedy running back.
Did you just, sorry, can you say the year? I know, I'm pretty sure.
97 to 2008.
Was that Lindell White?
It's not when Lindell White.
Because that would be really funny if it was.
That would be
because he was Thunder too, was he not?
I don't know. Was he Thunder?
Or
It's not all stud.
It's all stud. Yeah.
So-
So yeah, Thunder to Warwick Dunn's Lightning.
Yes.
But if you want to just have like a little bit of fun and you have like 5 minutes, like just go look up a highlight reel of Mike Allstott runs. Like it's just him. Like I swear sometimes he's the reason they invented the Madden truck stick. Like he was that guy with 77 speed, just like absolute, and 99 break tackle, like just absolutely running guys over. But I think the thing that he never got enough credit for was like Allstott had a juke move, like, and it was a devastating one where he put his whole body forward and step back, and just guys they were so worried about getting hit that he could just juke them so badly and then pick up like 10 more yards. But for a guy that wasn't a fast running back in an era where there was nothing but burners, like he was a super fun guy to watch.
Also, considering his name was the Lightning side, it's a shame to think that Warwick Dunn wasn't Thunder, given the enormous biceps.
Oh.
You should also give yourself a Google there.
Dunn and Lightning, and
Warwick Dunn.
if I get these words mixed up, I might be googling something I'm not supposed to.
Did either of you guys have a theme, or were these just dudes?
They were just like
defenders.
Just
Okay.
I'm not even done mine yet. Jeez. So Matt, you get to obviously clean up, so I'm gonna go first. This was he the first Tyler Lockett? Possibly. He wasn't the lead receiver. I'm going offense on this one. Wasn't the lead receiver for many of the teams, but he kind of became, you know how those guys like they're not. No, that's not a Seahawk. Sorry, I was just using that as a reference. Just using it as a reference.
Okay.
So you know how usually the second receiver or sometimes even the third receiver gets all the stats, whereas the star guy does his thing, but he gets all the spotlight, and it's usually the other guys. Well, this guy, I'm sure we've all had him on a team over the 7 seasons that he played. Did play for the Baltimore Ravens to finish his career. He was a Kansas City, I'm going to take that back. Yeah, he did finish his season with his career at the Ravens. He was a chef for a couple seasons, but most people know him when he's with Philly. When Deshaun, you got her.
I already had Jeremy Maclin in an earlier episode.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying him again. Because I got no one else.
All remember that name because we were on the show, Ryan. We actually paid attention.
You guys know I don't pay attention. Clearly.
This is a segment for Remember That.
Okay, fine. Freddie Mitchell. Freddie Mitchell, Fred X, whatever.
The answer to remember the name then would be I don't remember. That's why.
Yeah. Fred X, whatever.
You remember this name? No.
No. Okay, I'm done.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
I don't think I was
actually-
around for
it's
the
actually-
Macklin one, but
It's actually fitting that I did that then on the last show because we're come full circle for this season. It's good. It's good.
Okay, I'll give you one more defender now that you said Kansas City Chief, and I was like, I'm in the Chief mode. This guy also kind of played in the Doomerville era. Outside linebacker, edge, kind of like a similar style. Kind of on the all name team. It's a fun name to say. He was just always getting after the quarterback over and over. Was on the defense where Eric Berry was, who
I was going to say Eric Berry.
who Matt did choose as a person already, so I would never do that.
Thank you.
Can you guys think of
The stone cold face there. Thank you. Okay. Love it.
you guys
carry on.
remember an outside linebacker? I don't have his
Houston?
stats in front of me.
an outside
Actually-
linebacker where?
Kansas City.
Did I get it right?
Who did you say?
I said Houston.
Oh, Justin Houston would have been a good one. I don't know if he was in that era. This would have preceded him. This
Justin,
guy
Texas.
ended his career with 89.5 sacks, all
Whoa.
with the Kansas City Chiefs, 2006 to 2017.
2006, 2017.
Justin Houston. Can I pick
He
him again?
was
No,
born
it was wrong the
in-
first time.
I don't even know where.
Chris
Liberia.
Jones?
In Liberia.
No.
Ladarius Sneed. I'm just throwing stuff out now. I'm just being silly.
Oh, Ambahali?
Tom Holly.
Holly.
Oh yeah. Fuck, I remember that guy. That was fun.
He was so much fun to watch.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I
was like-
hated it because he would always get after the Ravens quarterbacks, but
That was another like sneaky athletic guy for his size.
Yeah, like when he was moving, you're like, it kind of looks like he's got cement shoes on, but just somehow like it was a true craftsperson at his position, whether it was like hand placement or like using leverage against the offensive lineman. Like he just always found a way because he wasn't the Doomerville burner. Yeah, just very different way of getting to the quarterback, but a lot of fun to watch.
Like he was fun like right from the jump. Like even watching him at like the combine was hilarious compared to all the other like defensive linemen that were out there.
I wasn't into combine like what did I say, 2006? I don't know if that would have been a little before I started really watching combine stuff.
Yeah, I think. Well, at least for me, it was like
I'm
we
not
were
into
we were
football.
in front of the TV every day, NFL Network. We didn't really have a choice but to not watch it because there was nothing on.
That's fair.
Yeah.
He's
Maddie.
also a good tackle against the run, too.
Yes.
I think he was a 50,
Yeah.
65 tackle D end, which you don't see that often.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at his stats, and he had 32 forced fumbles and 2 interceptions. So
Jeepers.
the guy got it done for a long
He's a
time.
beast.
You may know my final pick as a Western Carolina Catamount.
Oh, okay.
also-
Just wait. I think I got it already.
You also may know him from Jerry Maguire, ER in the West Wing, and as himself in the Below Deck Mediterranean. His name is Dean Biasucci. Great kicker for the Colts and the Rams.
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, just one of the all-time great kickers for both 3 years. And if you don't know my theme, these are the starting kickers in the 1987 Pro Bowl. And I'm picking 1987 because, contrary to what Ryan said about all of us being in our 40s, I'd like to speak for Steve and I of saying, screw you guys, we're still in our 30s.
Yep.
So 1987 means, for me at least,
The Pro
still in
Bowl.
my 30s.
That is like maybe one of your deepest dives ever.
I found that very offensive.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's more of a special teams thing than an offensive thing. So
Oh, nice pull. Nice pull. I can't believe you didn't name any long snappers or anything.
I thought about it. That guy from who got in a fight with their long snapper the other day?
I don't know.
Debo. Debo punched his long snapper in the throat.
Oh yeah,
No way.
probably had it coming. You gotta be ready to win on that team. So he's got enough money to pay him off too. He's like, here you go. Throws him a few $100 bills. Like, you're gonna need it. I'm fine.
A few $100 bills. How little do you think like a starting NFL player makes?
I'm gonna look into this long snapper. What's the guy's name?
Well,
Dan
I'm
Smith, former BYU.
there's a minimum. There's a league minimum that NFL.
Tabor Pepper.
Yeah, Pepper.
Tabor Pepper.
What a name. That's all name team.
That is actually Tabor Pepper. Pepper
Same thing.
salary. Oh man, dude, that's a lot of bank. Good night. 2 years, $2.08 million.
Oh,
Whew. I apologize. $300 bills.
I don't want to butcher this story and get the guy's name wrong, but it's inevitably going to get wrong because unfortunately the Patriots have just won so many championships and they've had so many long snappers during that time. But a guy I used to work with, his name was Brad Ogasawara. He was a like diehard Patriots fan, like before they were good. Like, I'm not even joking. He was cheering for that team just as Bledsoe was exiting and they weren't going to give him his job back, and Brady was stepping in through those championships. And he got to get himself down to Boston to watch a Patriots game, and they were kind of hanging outside the stadium, taking pictures and stuff like that, chilling sort of in and around where they thought they might get a glimpse of players going in back when we used to do stuff like that. And there was this older gentleman, and he was wearing a Joe Cardonia jersey. And so if you don't know, Joe Cardonia was the long snapper for the Patriots during one of those runs. And it's either Cardonia, and I can't remember the other snappers, but it's one of these two guys. So again, I apologize. And so he kind of makes his way over to this older gentleman wearing the Cardonia jersey, and he says to him, like, okay, very obviously to his buddy, like, this guy's wearing a Cardonia jersey. That's the Pats long snapper. Nobody's a Pats long snapper fan. This guy has to be his dad. So he walks up to him and says, like, hey, big fan of your son. I'm trying to become a long snapper myself. And the guy's like, oh, you know Joe? And so he's like, he plays it up, plays along. Anyways, long story short, the guy's dad, Joe Cordonia's dad, actually gets them inside the building.
Oh my.
They go up to players box. They spend the first quarter there. And then after the game, he gets to go downstairs and he meets some of the New England Patriots, including Joe Cordonia, and get an autograph. So just by having the wherewithal to know that this guy's wearing a long snapper jersey outside of an NFL game, it can't be anybody other than his dad.
Oh
He got
man.
to make all that stuff happen in a small tour of like Foxborough. Pretty cool story.
That's unreal.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Did he get Tom Brady's autograph?
I don't think he never saw Tom Brady now.
Too bad. Could have been worse
But-
than something.
Patriots long snapper.
No kidding. What's he doing now?
No idea.
Is he on ER or below deck?
They won in like 2015. I don't know. I'm not sure what he's at. He's probably not as big as that guy.
Wild. That's crazy. That's
He ranks
crazy.
just under Matt Gomez for former below deck stars.
I clearly don't know the story behind that. That's fine.
Matt Gomez in our league,
Yeah, I'm aware who
right,
that is.
was
Yeah.
on below deck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just as an extra?
No, I think he was like part of one of the groups that was staying on the boat.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How the turntables. We got a couple things left because I don't have much time here, or one thing left. So, do you want to do bold fantasy takes, or do you want to talk about Taysom Hill? Because I don't really want to talk about Taysom Hill.
I'd like to talk about Taysom Hill.
Okay, then we're going to finish on Taysom Hill because I got to go pretty quick here.
So you guys know my pickle of having three great tight ends of Njoku, Hawkinson, and Taysom Hill.
Yes.
So finally this week came to a head, and I can't start three, and I made a trade for Sam All-Pro Darnold. So I wasn't going to bench him.
greatest take of the year.
Yeah.
So I had to drop Taysom Hill. And for 2 weeks in a row in our sleeper league, Ted had the highest scoring player because the week before he had 3 touchdown Jamar Chase. And this week he had 3 touchdown Taysom Hill. So that's what I'd like to talk about.
No bitterness whatsoever. Although the week that happened, Ted lost in his other league. So you lost in one and won in the other.
I was starting him in one league, and then I had him played against me in the other. But yeah,
Live by the sword, die
Taysom
by
Hill,
sword.
what a beauty! It was actually like really fun watching him in that game. Receive passes, run the ball up the gut, throw passes. Like it was like watching a big version of Josh Cribbs do his thing. It was hilarious.
Could he start somewhere? Do you think? Do you think if he goes to the
As
Giants,
a quarterback?
Do you think he goes to the Giants as a quarterback and he helps them go to 4 wins instead of 2?
They'd have to run a full read option Wildcat, and
Change the
it would
entire
only win
offense.
them a couple games. And he does throw a better ball than Tebow.
And how much of a contract does he still have left? Because it was like, wasn't it like 3 or 4 years for that?
Yeah,
And
I don't know. He's also old.
yeah.
I mean, maybe not for a quarterback, but he's not taking quarterback miles.
Mm-mm.
Well,
So
I
what's,
mean, yes and no, because he's not playing as many snaps, but he's getting hit hard every single time.
He'll be 35 next year, I think.
who's going to be the next Taysom Hill? Is it Hunt? I guess Hunter's not going to be the guy, but he's more the next Dion.
I don't know. Those guys don't come around very often.
I think the next Taysom Hill should be what's his face, Ravens
Winfrey.
fullback. That would be great. I'd like to
Pat
see that.
Ricard.
Pat Ricard. I'd like to see close to 300-pound Pat Ricard run the ball more, please.
And then chuck it.
It's awesome watching him do it, but I'd also like to see him throw touchdown passes, and I'd also like to see him play tight end.
Let's make it happen. Let's will it into existence. Steve, do you get any words with the Taysom Hill saga?
No, I hate Taysom Hill. I hate everything about him. I hate when you guys talk about him. He's annoying. He's an anomaly. And he is the reason why the saying love-hate relationship in fantasy football exists. Because any given week, if you start Taysom Hill, he could get you 40 points or he might not get you anything. And it's the anomaly that is fantasy football. It's what lost me my championship last year against Kyle, who I think if anybody looked at those two squads, they're like, well, Kyle's going to get just destroyed in the finale. You get these underachievers who put up just these spectacular weeks, and it's the love-hate, but it's what makes this game that we all play so much fun and so exciting because it's so unpredictable.
Wow, man, that was touching. That was a single tear. I'm gonna tattoo that tear right here.
Just got Taysom Hill.
I want to remember this forever. I'm gonna tattoo a tear right here.
People are going to be like, oh, Ryan has killed a guy. And you're going to, actually, it's just this one time I cried during Steve's football speech.
This is my Taysom tear.
He really killed that speech. Like, did you kill someone? I did not. Like, look at this. I couldn't kill a flea. Well, boys, for now anyway, until we decide to do something else, this is the very last episode of That Helps No One FantasyCast. Matt, you came in this season as a newbie, and you just absolutely slayed it with your wit and your wisdom, and probably some of the most obscure football names that we've ever heard.
What's that kicker's name again?
Dean Scucci, you don't know him? Former ER actor.
What
So matter of factly, just
was he a doctor or a patient in that episode? Or was
I haven't seen that. I've only watched his NFL career
okay.
from 1980 to 1990.
Sorry, I just assumed. I'm sorry. I apologize.
He's not a freak. Jeez.
Yeah. So, come on, man. I'm just stick to sports, as they say.
I'm a football stats guy, not an IMDb stats guy.
Well, you got to pay attention to DBs and quarterbacks and IMDb.
BBH.
Matt, exactly. BBHB forever. I did put that in the tweet yesterday. It's too bad Chris couldn't make it. Maybe we'll find a way to get another show somehow. Who knows? Steve, any final words from yourself aside from your soliloquy that brought us all to tears?
I'm your advisor. That's what I do.
You know what? I'm going to give you that. I don't have any physical award. I don't have a cool slide made, but
Well, since
Steve-
we're actually friends, I do expect some sort of trophy at some point. Maybe next time we all go down for a pop downtown.
I'll buy you a beer. Is that cool?
Frothy.
I want the trophy. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just
Actually,
Here's
I
the
can make- I'm going to make that happen.
But
I'm
the
going to.
trophy, then you would get to spend like a third of the year with it. Then it would have to go to me, and then I would have to give it back to you for the back third of the year.
That would be fair.
I got a trophy. I have a trophy that I can give you. So that's perfect. I'll make it happen. Don't you worry.
Addison's going, Dad, where'd my regional gold medal trophy go? No.
Listen, it's
The
going
most
to.
improved speed skater. What is this?
Yeah, it's going to a worthy cause. I mean, I destroyed all my dad's old softball trophies, so it's fine. Ted, you were one of the OGs as well, and I mean, we missed you for a little bit of the season with your heart stuff, but you came back and you came strong. That's what she said. And it's been good to have you as a Browns fan. You really sympathize with our audience. You know, people that just have really
You're
awful.
calling our audience losers because that's
kind of a little bit. I mean,
We don't need them anymore, so it's
dig
okay.
into the bottom of the barrel. You're as a Cleveland Brown fan. No, it's been good to have you on the show, man. Any final words as from your corner?
It's been a great time being on the show the last little bit, especially. I think it was like a good reintroduction. It wasn't like too serious. It was like throw some picks in there. I wasn't even going to be sure if I was even going to be able to run a fantasy football team and have the time to do it post recovery. So I really enjoyed coming on here every week, just like getting an excuse to hang out with. Obviously you guys are podcasters, but you're my buddies like way before that, and we don't get to hang out with each other enough, especially in a group setting. So I always kind of use this as that excuse to just like shoot the shit a little bit. And it was really important for me to spend some time on the show early on during recovery. So I appreciate you guys having me.
Oh, that's does that take over best speech now? Or I'm going to stick with the Taysom Hill. That's pretty good. Sorry, that was too heartfelt, Ted. That was a little bit much. It's too bad that Chris wasn't here, because I'm sure he would have some really inappropriate thing to say. And I mean, he made the early seasons very, very watchable / unwatchable. Like, it wasn't something you wanted to necessarily share at work, which he did a few times.
It was a fine line. We were Taysom Hill football basically back then. You didn't know what you were going to get. It was going to be just a dumpster fire. Or it was going to be just like ratings off the chart.
And he was the reason that we definitely had some clips that I think it clips like 6,000 or 7,000 views. So that was pretty impressive. So shout out to you, Chris. We do appreciate your time on there. And maybe he was a smart one to stop at the beginning of the season. Knew he had too much on the go. But I'm sure there'll be another version of this at some point. Who knows? It's football, and we all love talking about it. So on behalf of Matt, Steve, Ted, myself, Chris, who was here as well, we are now signing off for That Helps No One FantasyCast on the Area 51 Sports Network. Good luck in your fantasy playoffs. You're going to need it.